Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode corporate documents so you don't have to. Today we're diving into Commonwealth Edison Company, or ComEd's Schedule 14C filing. No, it's not a new superhero comic, but it does have its own kind of drama. We'll look into how ComEd, the electric company for much of northern Illinois, is choosing its leaders and what it all means for their business. This filing tells us about a shareholder decision to elect directors and some key financial details. Think of it as ComEd's annual popularity contest, except instead of votes, it's about big business decisions and how well they're doing financially. Let's find out what's cooking. This isn't your typical shareholder meeting because Exelon, the parent company, owns over 99% of ComEd's stock. They're using a written consent to elect directors instead of holding a big meeting. It's like when one person in a group project does all the work and makes the decisions but has to let everyone else know eventually. This document serves that purpose. So who are the people who get to play with the electricity? The filing lists 7 names, people like Stephen Bowman, Elizabeth Buchanan, Ricardo Estrada, Michael Innocenzo, Gil Quinones, Zoldwainaka Scott, and Smita Shah. It's a mix of folks from different backgrounds, including finance, consulting, non-profits, and academia. These are the people who will be guiding ComEd's future, at least until the next shareholder action. Now, before we get too excited, there's a section that basically says, hey, don't take our word for everything. It's the part where they remind you that the future is uncertain and lots of things could go wrong. Things like new laws, environmental problems, cyber attacks, and even just plain old bad weather could throw a wrench in the works. ComEd is managed by Exelon, so it doesn't have its own separate committees for things like auditing or compensation. Instead, Exelon's board handles those tasks. Think of it like a smaller branch office relying on the main headquarters for the important stuff. The board has an executive committee comprised of the board chair and vice chair. What makes a good ComEd director? According to the filing, they're looking for people with high ethical standards, good judgment, and experience in areas like business, government, education, or technology. They also want people who are willing to stay up to date on industry trends and who don't have any conflicts of interest. Basically, they want smart, honest, and dedicated people. Let's talk money. PricewaterhouseCoopers, or POC, is the independent auditor for ComEd. In 2024, the fees for audit services were about $4.1 million. That's a lot of money to make sure the books are in order. It's important because it gives everyone confidence that the financial information is accurate. This part assures everyone that the numbers are legit. The Exelon Audit and Risk Committee basically checked PBOC's work to make sure they are on the level. The committee believes PBOC is independent and that their services are compatible with maintaining that independence. The Exelon Talent Management and Compensation Committee is responsible for making sure that ComEd's executives are paid fairly. It looks at things like market data, the executive skills and experience, and how well the company is performing. They review things like base salary, incentive plans, and long-term equity awards. The main goal is to motivate executives to help the company grow and meet its goals. They do this by linking pay to performance. Executives can earn even more money if they hit long-term goals through this plan. A big part of the plan is tied to performance shares, which are based on how well the company performs over a 3-year period. For the 2022 to 2024 performance cycle, the metrics were utility earned, ROOE, utility net income, and Exelon CFO to debt. The TMCC approved a payout of about 84% for the long-term incentive plan based on the performance of the executives from 2022 to 2024. There's also a clawback policy which lets the company take back incentive compensation if executives do something bad that harms the company or if there's a financial restatement. So if executives mess up, they might have to give back some of their earnings. To align the executive and shareholder interests, executives are required to own a certain amount of Exelon stock, in most cases twice their base salary. This table lays out potential payouts. At distinguished performance, someone like Mr. Quinones has the potential of a roughly $1 million payout from non-equity incentive plan awards. It gives a good look at the rewards for hitting or exceeding goals. There are payments in case employment ends based on the plans of the company. For instance, there is retirement value, disability payments, and more listed in these tables, with cash payouts and value of unvested equity awards listed in the different scenarios. In 2024, ComEd's CEO made about 15 times as much as the median employee. That means for every $1 the average employee made, the CEO's total compensation was about $2.06. This ratio is meant to show how executive pay compares to the pay of regular workers. This table is key because it shows exactly what executives earned over the last few years. For 2024, the amount was about $2.65 million. Looking at past compensation tables, the highest total was about $8.33 million in 2021 for an executive named Butler. Also, utility earned return on equity stayed fairly consistent between 9.1% and 9.4%. It reflects the actual performance of the business. The company did well with its finances despite the difficult economic conditions. Exelon indirectly owns a lot of ComEd's common stock, over 99%. Only the directors and executives of ComEd own anything of the rest, but as a group, that's a small fraction of the total. Alright, so what's the takeaway here? ComEd is a well-managed utility company that's focused on rewarding its executives for good performance. But it is very reliant on its parent company. The key opportunities for ComEd lie in navigating those regulatory changes and maintaining their financial stability. However, there are some risks too. The forward-looking statements section tells us that unfavorable legislation, environmental issues, or cybersecurity risk could all cause problems. Plus, because ComEd is so closely tied to Exelon, any problems at the parent company could trickle down. In conclusion, ComEd appears to be a stable company with a clear strategy and governance structure. However, it's important to keep an eye on those risk factors and how well the company is managing its relationships with regulators and the community. It's a business with some great rewards, but also some big problems that could come into play. That's all for this edition of Corporate Decoder. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and let me know what other corporate filings you'd like me to decode in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of corporate finance. Thanks for watching.